it's Easter Monday 2022, and today I've decided to change the oil on my Modena. So I've had the scooter idling for about 10 or 15 minutes now, just warming the engine up, get the oil nice and warm, so that all the rubbish that's in the oil, any metal shavings or anything in there, which hopefully there aren't too many, will come running out when I drain the oil. So I'm just going to turn you around. So here we are. I've got the manual here. This is the manual you get when you buy the bike. It's okay. There's quite a bit of information in there. It gives you all the necessary technical information. It's a little bit difficult to follow in places because of the language used. But you know, it's not so bad. So if you can get hold of one, or if you've got one, it's very useful. The oil, I've got the oil off Amazon. It's very, very important that you use the right sort of oil for your bike or your car or your scooter, because you do not want to put any oil in there that is not of the specification required. Now, I bought this one for about 14 quid off Amazon with free delivery. This is the type recommended in the manual by AJS for the Modena 125. You can get from AJS store themselves a small service kit which includes this oil, an oil filter, this oil, a spark plug and an air filter, and that's about 34 quid. I'll put the link to both of these items, the oil from Amazon and the small service kit from AJS, in a link in the on YouTube underneath the video, so that if anybody fancies doing it, and away we go. Now the manual shows, and you look at the diagram, somewhere up here there is a drain plug, but I don't think the manual's right. As I say, I think the manual's a little bit misleading in places and a bit difficult to follow. But I found this one here, which is 17mm. It's the lowest point in the engine. It doesn't look to hold the engine casing together. It doesn't look to do anything else, so I'm going to go for that one. At the other side, you might just be able to see it there. Just there. I think that's the the oil filter. So I'm going to drain the oil from there, then I'm going to take that off where the oil is draining and clean the gauze out. Now to do that, I'm going to use a 17mm socket on both of them. I'm going to put some cardboard underneath for any spills on the driveway or anywhere, and I'm also going to put a suitably sized container there to catch the old oil. So bear with me while I set up and I'll come back. So we're more or less ready now. I've got the cardboard under, I've got the container under to drain. First thing I'm going to do is take the dipstick out. I'm going to unscrew it and take it out. That'll allow air to get into the crankcase, which will aid in the oil being drained. I'll go around to the other side. Now you'll have to bear with me a minute, because I'm going to have to fudge around with the camera to get it some sort of an angle so you can see what I'm doing. In fact, I'll put the camera down and hope it's pointing the right way. So I'm going to undo the drain plug now. That was very, very tight. So let's see if that's cracked it. Yep, that's cracked it. So I think what I'll do from there is I'll take it off by hand now. It's a little bit awkward, this. I'm just going to try and put it back down there again. Hopefully it's pointing in the right direction. Yep, the screw's loose. Hopefully we'll get oil coming out of there.
there we go. Out comes the oil. Always handy to have a rag close by. So out it comes. Don't know if you can see it there. Draining away into the container. Now I'm going to leave that draining for probably about 5 minutes. So once that's drained, I'm going to clean the plug up, put it back in and fill the oil. But before I do that, I'm going to go around to the other side and I'm going to undo what I consider to be the oil filter gauze nut and take that out and give it a clean. So I'm just going to knock you off. Okay, I'm back. Now, a little bit awkward filming all this. So if it's all juddery and a little bit bitted, then I apologise, but can't really do much more about it. So, let's see if I can crack that one off now. Yep, there it goes. Take it out by hand now. Just keep my eye on it while I'm taking it out. That should be. Yep, there it is. There's the gauze for the filter. So you can probably see there the wisdom of putting a piece of cardboard on the floor, because it means that you don't get any spills on the floor. So I'm going to knock you off again and come back to you in a minute when I can better show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so we've drained the oil. I've removed the drain plug and cleaned it. I've removed the gauze filter for the oil and cleaned it. There's a sealing ring on there. There's a spring there which comes with the gauze filter, and that's the drain. I call it a secondary drain plug, and that is the dipstick. I've cleaned all these items. The spring goes in there, that way up. The gauze goes in there, that way up. That's got a washer on it there. I don't know if you can see it. It has a washer on, which is a sealing washer. So all those 3 items have now been cleaned, ready to go back on. I want to screw them back in place. This one I'm probably going to have to hold in place and push it up and hold it and try and screw it on by hand initially. It's a good idea anyway to screw them on by hand initially. Then you don't cross thread them and ruin anything. So I'll come back to you in a few minutes. Okay, so what have we done up to now? Well, I've determined that bolt there is the drain plug for the sump, and at the other side there is the gauze oil filter, which also is behind a 17mm nut. So I've removed both of those, drained the oil, cleaned the gauze, I've replaced them both, I've tightened them up, I've checked that the washers on them are both in good condition, and you can see here the wisdom of putting some cardboard down on the floor before you start draining oil, because that gets on your drive or on the street and it never comes off. So we're ready now to fill up with oil. Now, as I said earlier, I'm going to use this Silcoline Super 4 oil to fill the engine sump up. I'm going to fill this jug up with 800 millilitres because the manual says that that's what the engine takes, 800 millilitres. And then I'm highly likely going to be using this funnel to pour the oil out of the jug into the sump, but I'll come back to that in a sec. Right, we have our 800 millilitres, we have our funnel, so away we go, and let's fill the sump up. Again, this is really awkward, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the funnel there. I think what I will do is I'll take the side panel off, give me better access. I've shown you before how to take the side panel off. There's a screw here and a connection to the indicator. You undo the screw, unclip the side panel, undo the connection to the indicator and put the side panel somewhere safe. So I'm not going to show you how to do that, but I'll come back shortly. So how much easier is that now to fill that up with the side panel off? There is another screw here, by the way, that you have to remove. I only told you about the one over here.
That's the connection that you have to undo for the indicator. So now should be funneling, and I'm going to support it there in that angle. If I don't, it's going to pour straight out of there. So I'm going to knock the video off, hold it at an angle like that, and fill the sump up with 800 millilitres of oil, which I have pre-filled into a measuring jug. Okay, so there we are, 800 millilitres of Silcoline Super 4 oil, and I've filled the crankcase with it. I'm now going to replace the dipstick in there. I've checked the tightness of the fuel filter, the oil filter goes underneath, and the sump plug on the other side. So when I've done that, I'm just going to run it for a few minutes, and the job should be a good one. Now, just one last thing to do. When you've got the engine running, just make sure there are no leaks underneath coming from the sump, either of the drain plugs or anywhere else. And it appears as though there is. Last job is to put the side panel back on, and then we're good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's not been the best of videos that I've made because of the difficulty in getting the camera low enough down in order to be able to show you what I was doing. I would have liked to have been able to show you step by step, every bit of the way, exactly what I was doing. But I think, you know, if you use common sense and follow the things I've shown you, you should be able to tackle your own oil change on the Modena or any GY6 engine, which this is based on, with confidence. So until next time.